Long ago, in a vibrant village nestled at the edge of the vast African savanna, lived a brave brother and sister named Manba and Niya. They belonged to the Asante tribe, known for their wisdom, courage, and close bond with nature. Mamba was 12 years old and loved exploring the wild, while Nia, who was 10, was quick witted and agile, always ready for an adventure. One bright morning, the village elder Baba Quame gathered the tribe. We need more food for the coming season, he announced. Who will brave the wilderness to hunt for our people? Mamba and Nia eagerly stepped forward. We will go, Baba, they said in unison, their eyes sparkling with excitement. Equipped with bows, arrows, and a small knife, the siblings set out into the dense forest. They moved quietly, listening to the sounds of birds chirping and leaves rustling. Mamba led the way, his eyes scanning for signs of game, while Nia followed closely, her senses alert. After hours of tracking, they spotted a herd of antelopes grazing near a river. Stay low, Mamba whispered. We'll circle around and approach from the other side. Nia nodded, her heart pounding with anticipation. Just as they were about to take aim, a loud roar echoed through the forest. The antelopes scattered, and the siblings froze in their tracks. Emerging from the bushes was a massive lion, its golden eyes fixed on them. Without a second thought, Mamba and Nia turned and ran as fast as their legs could carry them. They sprinted through the forest, their breath coming in gasps, until they stumbled upon a hidden cave. Quick, inside, Mamba urged. They ducked into the cave, pressing their backs against the cool stone walls, trying to catch their breath that was close. Nia whispered, peering out into the forest. Do you think it's gone? Mamba shook his head. We can't be sure. We should stay here until we know it's safe. As they explored the cave, they noticed it went deeper than they had first thought. The walls were adorned with ancient paintings, telling stories of their ancestors. Mesmerized, they ventured further inside, not realizing the danger that lurked within. Suddenly, the ground beneath them gave way, and they tumbled into a hidden chamber. Are you okay? Mamba asked, helping Nia to her feet. I'm fine, she replied, brushing dirt off her clothes. But where are we? The chamber was dimly lit, with narrow tunnels branching off in different directions. We need to find a way out, Mamba said, his voice determined. Stay close, Nia. They chose a tunnel and began to walk, their footsteps echoing through the silence. The air grew cooler, and they could hear the distant sound of dripping water. Nia shivered. I hope this leads somewhere, she said. Mamba put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We'll make it out, I promise. We just have to stick together and stay strong. As they journeyed deeper into the cave, they had no idea what awaited them. They didn't know that their adventure was just beginning, and that they would face challenges that would test their courage and bond like never before. As Manba and Nia ventured further into the cave, the air grew cooler, and the darkness seemed to wrap around them like a thick blanket. They held hands tightly, their steps cautious and careful. After what felt like hours of walking, they came to a fork in the tunnel. Two paths stretched before them, one to the left and one to the right. Mamba took a deep breath. Which way should we go? Nia knelt down and inspected the ground just as their father had taught them. Look, Manba, she said, pointing to some faint footprints leading to the right. Someone's been this way before. Manba nodded. Let's follow these tracks. Maybe they will lead us to an exit. They followed the footprints, which led them to a larger cavern. In the center of the cavern was a pool of clear water, reflecting the faint light from above. They were relieved to see something other than stone and darkness. Let's rest here for a bit, Manba suggested. They sat by the pool, drinking the cool water and catching their breath. Nia noticed something shiny at the bottom of the pool. She reached in and pulled out a small, intricately carved amulet. Look at this, Manba, she exclaimed, showing him the amulet. It's beautiful. It looks ancient. Manba examined the amulet closely. It must have belonged to one of our ancestors. Maybe it has some kind of power. As they pondered over the amulet, a low rumbling sound echoed through the cavern. The ground began to tremble and small rocks fell from the ceiling. We need to move, Manba shouted. They hurried down another tunnel, the amulet clutched tightly in Nia's hand. The tunnel twisted and turned, and they had to squeeze through narrow gaps and climb over jagged rocks. Just when they thought they couldn't go any further, they saw a faint light ahead. Look, Manba! An exit! Nia cried out, her heart filled with hope. They scrambled towards the light, emerging into a breathtakingly beautiful valley. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the lush greenery and colorful flowers. Birds sang sweetly, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. We made it, Mamba said, smiling at his sister. But where are we? As they looked around, they noticed a small, thatched hut in the distance. Maybe someone lives there, Nia suggested. They might be able to help us. They made their way to the hut, their hearts filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness. An old woman, with kind eyes and a warm smile, greeted them at the door. Welcome, children, she said. I am Nana Yaa. What brings you to my valley, Manba? And Nia told Nana Yaa their story, explaining how they got lost in the cave and found the amulet. The old woman's eyes widened when she saw the amulet. This is the Amulet of Life, she said softly. It has been missing for generations. You two are destined for a great journey. Manba and Nia exchanged puzzled looks. What do you mean, Nana Yaa? Nia asked. Nana Yaa led them to a fire pit and began to tell them the legend of the Amulet of Life. Long ago, our ancestors created this amulet to protect the land and its people. It holds the power to heal and to bring life to the barren. But it was lost during a great war and has been missing ever since. The war between life and death, Manba murmured, remembering the stories Baba Quaim had told them. Yes, Nana Yaa nodded. And now that you have found it, you must return it to its rightful place. Only then will the balance between life and death be restored. Manba and Nia felt a mix of fear and excitement. But how do we do that? Manba asked. Nana Yaa smiled. I will guide you. But remember, the journey will be dangerous. You must rely on each other and the strength of your bond to succeed. As the sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Manba and Nia knew that their adventure was far from over. They had a mission to fulfill, and with the guidance of Nana Yaa and the power of the amulet, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The next morning, Manba and Nia woke up to the soft sounds of birds chirping and the scent of fresh flowers wafting through the air. Nana Yaa had prepared a hearty breakfast of fruits and roots, which the siblings eagerly devoured. Today, we begin our journey to restore the Amulet of Life, Nana Yaa said, her eyes twinkling with wisdom. The amulet must be returned to the sacred tree in the heart of the great forest. It will not be easy, but I have faith in you. With Nana Yaa's guidance, Manba and Nia packed their belongings. She gave them a map and a small pouch filled with herbs and potions. These will protect you on your journey, she explained. They set off with renewed determination, the amulet hanging around Nia's neck. The path led them through dense forests, across bubbling streams, and up steep hills. As they walked, Nana Yaa shared stories of the land and its ancient magic, filling their hearts with wonder and courage. After a long day of travel, they reached the edge of the great forest. The trees were tall and majestic, their branches stretching high into the sky. The forest floor was covered in a carpet of moss and ferns, and the air was filled with the scent of pine and earth. We must be cautious, Nana Yaa warned. The great forest is home to many creatures, some friendly, some not. They ventured into the forest, the sounds of nature enveloping them. Birds sang sweet melodies, and small animals scurried through the underbrush. As they walked, Mamba and Nia felt a strange sense of peace, as if the forest itself was welcoming them. But their peace was soon shattered by a loud, menacing growl. A giant leopard, its eyes gleaming with hunger, stepped out from behind a tree. Mamba and Nia froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. Stay calm, Nana Yaa whispered. Remember the potions I gave you? Nia quickly pulled out a small vial filled with a shimmering liquid. She uncorked it and sprinkled a few drops onto the ground. The leopard sniffed the air, its growl softening into a curious rumble. Slowly, it backed away, disappearing into the shadows. Well done, Nia, Nana Yaa said, smiling. The forest tests our courage, but it also rewards our wisdom. As they continued deeper into the forest, they encountered more challenges. They had to cross a rickety bridge over a deep chasm, navigate through a labyrinth of thorny bushes, and outsmart a mischievous troop of monkeys who tried to steal their supplies. Each time, they relied on their wits, bravery, and the lessons Nana Yaa taught them. Finally, after days of travel, they arrived at a clearing bathed in golden light. In the center stood the sacred tree, its trunk wide and ancient, its branches spreading out like a protective canopy. The air around it buzzed with energy, and the ground was covered in vibrant flowers and soft grass. This is it, Nana Yaa said, her voice filled with reverence. The sacred tree. Manba and Niya approached the tree, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Niya took the amulet from around her neck and held it up to the tree. As she did, a beam of light shot out from the amulet, enveloping the tree in a warm, glowing embrace. The ground beneath them trembled, and the air was filled with a melodious hum. The amulet began to glow brighter and brighter until it merged with the tree, becoming one with it. The sacred tree pulsed with life, its leaves shimmering with a new, vibrant energy. You have done it, Nana Yaa said, tears of joy in her eyes. You have restored the amulet of life. Manba and Niya felt a wave of relief and pride wash over them. They had faced many challenges, but they had succeeded together. The forest around them seemed to come alive with newfound vitality, and the air was filled with a sense of peace and harmony. As they stood there basking in the glow of the sacred tree, they knew that their journey was far from over. They had restored the balance between life and death, but there were many more adventures to come and many more stories to be told.